50% or more.
Evie Fairbairn will attempt a 48-yarder, his season-long 35. He's 12 of 17 on the year. Coach Jim Mora looking for a breakthrough from this kid. And he may have it. How about that? 21-10, Stanford on top of UCLA as we prepare to start the second half. Gus Johnson along with Charles Davis, partner, your thoughts on the first half?
Well, I thought after an early rush where both offenses dominated and both went downfield and scored in their first drive, defenses started to dictate things a bit. And UCLA, I thought, did a nice job early in run defense. Not many places for Stanford to go. But when you're running 8 and 9 guys in the box, Stanford doesn't mind that box count. And when they start to find a crease, then you have Stephon Taylor with no safety back taking it to the house and giving Stanford the advantage. A big play here for UCLA as Anthony Barr tackles Daniel Zaklinski and creates a turnover. But guess what? It only resulted in 3 points for UCLA after 1st and 10 at the 22-yard line.
All right, let's take a look at the Ford statistical comparison.
Well, you look at the rush yards, Stanford, after a slow start, UCLA doing a nice job in run defense, found a way to create yardage, and Stephon Taylor, with that big sprint to the end zone against the stacked box, created that yardage for them.
From the 25, Huntley underneath, and
They don't care about box count, do they? Look at that, okay? And guess what? They're going to run it anyway. They don't worry about that. They press the run. Look at Yankee, 54 out in front. And then Taylor with nice moves, good vision, and gets outside. 10 people in the box. Stanford undaunted.
First down and goal to the UCLA 2 after the 40-yard run. Taylor, the deep man of the eye. Hewitt, the up back. Here's Stephon. And he will not get in. Stephon Taylor stopped short of the goal line.
Remember at Notre Dame, they had a goal-to-goal situation, and they ran it 4 straight times and didn't get in. Disputed call at the end, did he or didn't he? I thought maybe he got in on 2nd down and they didn't count it. 4th down, they said his momentum was stopped, didn't get in. Will Stanford try and do that if they have to go 4 down and try and do that again?
After 1, Taylor again. And Taylor will not get in. Looks like Barr was there. UCLA
to bar the way.
See, I don't think Stanford's thinking field goal here. I think they're in 4-down territory unless they get a lost yardage play on this one. And as you called, partner, Barr stands him up and holds him short of the goal line. If you throw the ball, and this is the down for Stanford, I do believe they're thinking 4 downs, though, to try and get 6.
Pick 6 from the end zone. Watch it.
Hewitt and Taylor. 2 tight ends. Taylor again.
Oh,
touchdown.
no worries there.
His second. A 10-yard return for a touchdown.
Oof.
Debniak with the tackle. He put his head on the football.
Damn.
That was perfect for him, wasn't it? Just as you're taught. And then Uswa Amano, who's played so well as their nickelback this year, on the spot, carries it into the end zone. Another big play for Stanford, this time in the kicking game.
Oh, boy. Yeah, you know what he just said there.
Moore, not a happy man. David Shaw, different story.
All right.
Team.
With all due respect, Stanford fans, this game's over.
At UCLA.
Boom to the hay, all you sports fans out there in the Tubosphere. Welcome to the One-Man Sports Rant. Gen 2.0. I am your host, Will, the alternative ESPN, and every other network that we cover, Sports Thrill, specializing in college football and basketball and all of the other sporting events in their singular nature, such as they may occur. Why such an emphasis on the college sports? I was a linebacker and off guard at the collegiate level, however short-lived, blew up both my ankles, never was able to realize my sports prowess, walked on in both events, but I was a non-traditional student, so I sort of screwed up high school, got my act together, got my butt back into college, and so I had to go that route. And I still suffer from those ankles. But the point is, I did not utilize my, stay in school, by the way, high school-wise, sports abilities to the best of their abilities, because street ball-wise, you know, I got a reputation still back where I was playing. So I'm not a spring chicken, but I'm not, you know, going through a midlife crisis either. It's the best of both. The maturity with still the physical ability and speed to understand it all, I guess. All right. So you heard from Accept, the original balls to the wall. It's going to be able to lead into for the rest of college football. By the way, this is the shorty version. This is the post-review show. As introduced by our Pi Kappa Alpha House Sweethearts, U of U chapter, Alpha Tau, giving you props. All right, so what do I mean by all this? You know, if you saw on the timestamp this video being 10 to 11 minutes thereabouts, this is the post-review show, which is what I mean by those graphics that I included. Much like when you go to a live theater, stage, show, and it's kind of sucking, people with class, you don't walk out on it until intermission. So, I understand if I'm talking to only 2 or 5 people, because this show may not be your cup of tea. But it is the post-review. You already saw all the clips, you know, to the sporting event that we were discussing about, and I'm not going to get into it more specifically, because again, this is the baseline show, and I'll get into the legalities as to why that is in a moment. I did used to run a law firm, so to those of you still listening, stick around because you'll learn something about the particulars of YouTube. But for the shows, you know, 15 minutes or longer, it's a totally different intro than what I'm doing right now. All right. So why bother doing a show, you may ask? Because the ship has sailed, in the sense of just trying to piggyback on somebody else's network and going beyond the 5 to 7 minute mark and just trying to put that up as not necessarily your own, but obviously from somebody else. You try to give them credit on YouTube. I'm sure you may have seen this several times. Your longer clips, say like beyond the 4 minute mark, where all they're showing is like the channel immediately. That does not cover the legalities of it. What are the legalities I'm discussing? It's a little thing called the DCMA, the Digital Copyright Millennium Act. And the key tenets that we adhere to on the OMSR are, as they were hashed out through WIPO, World Intellectual Property Organization: fair use standard, minimal use, derivatives, and no money exchanged in hands. Of course, that last one's a given, but it's also important. But it's a given here because, as you can see, the OMSR is a pro bono production. We adhere strictly to that. And on that note, as well, all images you see on the OMSR, not procured or produced, 2-minute warning, so I'll go over on time, by the OMSR, were obtained through the public domain. So anybody out there saying, hey, Will, you're kind of using an image that we don't necessarily approve of, fine. Watch my dust. I'll take it down. Excuse me. Readjust it. The only sucky thing about that is you'll lose all the hits when you go to re-upload the same thing, plus the interest lanes on that particular event. But that's not important as opposed to what I just said. All right. And on that note, this show is copyright to the OMSR. Brief video highlights courtesy to the networks already discussed through Will, the alternative sports throw. The OMSR does not own these video highlights, but does own all the other original content and the overall concept herein, thereof, therefore, most rights reserved. Alright, so on that note, the 2-minute warning, we go back to our musical lead into Accept. The original, to the nth degree, balls to the wall. perfect theme music for closing out college football. You got to play balls to the wall to get a winning record, to get to a better bowl, or BCS consideration. All right, so pay attention to the end graphic at the end of the show. VAC chart from the state of California DMV. They will throw the book at you. Worst state in the union, or best, toughest, whatever you want to call it. You get a DUI. You can pause it, freeze frame it. X amount of drinks, your body type. No X amount of activity. All right, thanks for watching. Later days, and only a few more college football plays.